Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. So for today's video, we are going to be talking finally about the Rainbow High reboot. So this is something that we have known is coming for a little bit now, and now it is finally upon us. And I, like pretty much everyone else who collects Rainbow High, and even some people who don't collect Rainbow High, have feelings about it. Some of those feelings are bad, definitely. Some of them are not as terrible, so like it's not going to be just a negative video today, but like also, I'm not going to not talk about the things that I don't think are done well with this reboot. So yeah, we're just going to be discussing kind of my feelings on the whole situation. The key thing there is that it is just my thoughts. You guys are obviously going to have your own thoughts and opinions, and if those differ from mine, that is totally chill. I definitely want to hear what everyone thinks about this reboot in the comments down below, because like, I know it's a big deal, you know, like a whole brand kind of changing up their style and the things that they're doing is a big deal within the doll collecting world, so I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. I am going to kind of split this video, not into like literally two parts, like a two-part video, but first I'm going to talk about like the stock photos and the individual dolls and kind of my thoughts on each individual doll, and then I'm going to round out the video by talking about my more overarching thoughts on the reboot as a whole once we've been able to kind of examine each thing that is being released at this time. So that's what we are going to be doing today. Hopefully that will be fun for y'all. Definitely, if you find yourself enjoying the video, if you could give it a like, that's very helpful to me. If you're new here and you enjoy your time here, definitely subscribe so you can see more. And if you want to go out of your way to support me, I have links and stuff in the description down below. But without further ado, let's talk about the reboot. Alrighty, so to kick off these stock photos, I want to start by talking about like the core dolls, I guess you would call them, the kind of main line of dolls that is being released with this reboot, and in no particular order here. First, we're going to be talking about Amaya, and coincidentally, she is my favorite, which I don't think is a popular opinion, but like, that's okay. I don't know, I like the rainbow dress. I actually think that it's quite cute. I don't mind the denim jacket, and I mean, Amaya's always had rainbows in her hair. She's got like more pink in it this time, but it doesn't feel that different to me. I actually did pick up Amaya right before my no-buy started, so I will have a review for you guys at some point in the month. Yeah, I don't think that she's like the most amazing doll that Rainbow High has ever put out by any stretch of the imagination, but I really don't hate her. I mean, I spent money on her, so clearly I don't hate her. I'm excited to get into her, and I hope that she is just as good for me personally out of the box as she is in the stock photo here. Then we have Sunny, and I kind of want to talk about Sunny more, I guess, in the like end section where I'm doing more overarching thoughts, but I will say I think that Sunny's aesthetic matches the best with this reboot. Like, she already had kind of a cutesy aesthetic, and so I think it really works for her more. But I also don't love that for her, we got basically her original doll, just slightly changed. Like, the outfit is very, very similar. I like that we got the plastic version of the, like, I wanted to say paper. It's not paper. The fabric bag that was released in like the blind boxes, because I thought that was a cool like design, and so obviously the fabric is nicer than plastic, but like it's cool that she got that. But overall, I think I'm just really underwhelmed because it is so similar. Like, it's great if you weren't around for Rainbow High when it first came out, or you just like never got the Sunny and you still like this, but I kind of wish that they had done something a little bit more different. Then we have Skylar, and I actually think Skylar looks pretty solid here. The boots are very similar to what she had in her first release as well, but everything else is pretty different, and she's definitely my second favorite next to Amaya. I just feel like she doesn't look bad at all in this rendition, and maybe, like, depending upon how my unboxing of Amaya goes, I might end up picking her up as well. And then we have Ruby, and I want to like this. I think the crimps in the hair are fun. The like entire top half of her outfit is also just like a slight variation on her original doll's release, which is definitely becoming a theme here, and it's fine. I actually like her new pieces better. I think the gold skirt is really cool, and I like her boots, but altogether I just don't feel like any of this outfit matches. Like, I don't feel like it all works together, so not as big a fan of that, but I don't think she is, again, like the worst thing ever. Violet, however, I am convinced that Rainbow High hates Violet, because I feel like her dolls, when they're good dolls, like I don't think every doll she has had has been a horrific doll. I just don't think that they've ever been standouts. Like, I think that the Winter Break Violet was a perfectly fine doll. Like, she was pretty, but she just wasn't super exciting, at least to me. The, like, costume ball Violet I talk about all the time on here, that I think she would have done very well and been a doll that I had no complaints about if she wasn't released amongst dolls that were so clearly superior to her. And yeah, and the reboot, she's still getting the same treatment, in my opinion. I think this looks terrible. I'm so sorry. Like, I usually try not to be mean, but this is bad. This is a rough one. I'm not having that. Then we have Jade, and I feel very similarly about Jade as I did with Ruby, where I like different pieces of her outfit. I think the kind of top shirt that she has on, that's the silver mesh, is really cool, and I think that her skirt is really fun. But again, I don't feel like all of the pieces she has matched together. Most notably, she has what is, again, very, very similar shoes to her original release, and I just don't think it fits the new vibe that they are trying to give her, and it just looks confusing to me. Like, there's pieces that I do enjoy, it just doesn't feel very cohesive. So that is like the main lineup. Definitely some mixed feelings there. We also have the junior high pajama dolls, and so for that we have Bella, and then Sunny, Skylar, and Violet. This Violet doesn't look terrible, I'll give you that, but in general, my thing is that I don't particularly vibe with junior high dolls, and I also don't usually vibe with sleepover dolls, so this entire line is just not something for me. That being said, if I try to look at it more objectively, I think all of them except for Bella really aren't terrible. I think Bella I'm struggling with because, like, I do understand that this is a reboot and they are very clearly giving some of these characters different styles than they had prior to the reboot, but it's just really hard for me to imagine, like, the Chanel girly wearing this bear onesie. I don't know, I guess some people will find it cute, and again, I know it's a reboot, but it is a little bit jarring just in my mind. Then we have some swim dolls, which I actually shockingly don't think are bad. Much like pajama dolls, I typically am not like the most enthused by swim dolls, but I think that these are perfectly fine. I think Sunny has a really cute little fish bag and the sunglasses. Across all of them, I think that it's really cool that they have these little square pieces of like kind of shimmery fabric that are shown to be used in so many different ways. Like, you can tie them around to be different styles of cover-up, or not in this image, but like other images have shown them being used as like a neck scarf or a head scarf. And I think that's really, really fun that these are something that you can kind of use to express your own creativity with the dolls and how you want them to be dressed. I do actually think that's a really, really good idea. And again, okay, Violet, I was just talking about how bad Violet always gets it. I honestly think Violet might be the best. This picture is not like the best one because you can't really see her swimsuit because of how her little piece is draped over her, but I think that she looks like the most cohesive and the nicest out of all of these swim dolls. Skylar looks awful. I'm so sorry. Nothing against her actual doll, but she's wearing a disgusting printed fake denim bathing suit, and everything about that is just absolutely horrific to me. I understand that Skylar is like the denim girly, but if you're changing everything else up, just change that. Like, she doesn't need a denim swimsuit. I hate it. I hate it so much. And yes, we have the articulation to talk about. We will be getting into that kind of in the overarching theme section, I guess you would say. The last thing to look at is some fashion packs that were released. I'll put the picture on screen of the dolls modeling the fashion packs, just because I think that really gives you guys a good idea of how they look on the doll, because like things can look very different when they're just flat in a package versus when they're on the doll. So we have Ruby modeling a pajama set. I do think this is cute despite not being really a pajama person. I just kind of like the looser fit. I don't think that that is necessarily the most common thing that we see within dolls. So I do like that. The rainbow checkers is cute. I probably won't get it. I honestly don't know if I'll get any of these. I haven't decided yet about Sunny's, but I will say that pajamas is cute. But Sunny is modeling a little like roller skating outfit, so she's got socks and skates and then shorts and a shirt. I think this is very cute. It's pastel. I think mostly I'm just a sucker for the skates because I love a good doll with skates. I think it's really, really precious. So definitely this is my favorite fashion pack. But again, I don't know if I'll end up buying it. Then Jade is modeling a cheer pack, which I don't know, like, it is a reboot, so I guess, wanting to introduce the cheer thing into it again, but they had a whole cheer line, and I just don't feel like it was necessary. Even though you can't tell, because it's, like, really just the cover-up that you see. I believe Skylar has a little, like, swimsuit set, so she's got, like, a swimsuit on underneath the cover-up. The cover-up is nice. It's not anything that I would personally want to spend my money on, but I don't think it's terrible. Violet is in a ballet set. Not for me. I don't think it's the worst. It's getting close. And then Bella is in, not Bella, oh my gosh, Amaya. The pink hair tripped me up for a second. The party dress, I think is what this is meant to be. Because the bag is like a present. I don't know, this one is a little bit iffy on the theming to me, but I don't think it's terrible. I'm sure someone will find it cute. It's not necessarily to my taste. Sorry about the notification. And yeah, I feel kind of mid about it. And that brings us nicely into a segue for the overall thoughts, which I guess we'll just start off, since we just got off the fashion packs, talking about the fashion packs. I am so glad, on the one hand, that Rainbow High is finally doing fashion packs. It is something that so many fans have been calling for so long. So, like, I am excited that they're doing them. I believe they're going to be priced, like, around $8 to $10 US. So it definitely is, like, significantly more affordable than I would have expected Rainbow High fashion packs to be, which is great to see. Obviously, I'm not like 100% on that, so correct me if I'm wrong. But assuming that that is right, that's great to see that they are not going to be like egregiously priced fashion packs. I'm sure someone will like them. I don't think that they look like the absolute worst quality ever. Like, they have accessories and stuff, but all of that positivity is, to me, kind of overshadowed by the fact that I'm sad that when we finally get Rainbow High fashion packs, it is with the reboot. I really wish that we could have had an opportunity to see the original quality and original style of Rainbow High in a fashion pack, and now we're never going to get that. So, like, it is a little bittersweet to me. Again, I don't think that the fashion packs we are getting are like travesties and like, how dare anyone buy it. It's not that. It's not that I think that that's terrible. It is just a bit disappointing to me, because the dream of like the Rainbow High fashion pack that I wanted, that's gone. And this is what we're getting instead. And so while it's not bad, it does feel, I guess, a bit like a consolation prize to me. Then, as I promised, we have to talk about the articulation. So these swim dolls are budget dolls. I want to say they're going to be around $13 US, which is a really good price for a budget doll. They might be like closer to 18. Definitely, if you know, let me know in the comments, because numbers are not my strong suit, and I just have lost all of them, but somewhere in that sort of range. So it's not terrible for a budget doll. They don't have any elbow, wrist, or knee articulation, so they're not very articulated dolls, but they are at a budget price, and like, that does kind of make sense, and I think that for what they are, it does make sense. However, across the entirety of the Rainbow High reboot, we are losing wrist articulation, so we are keeping the elbow and the knee. I believe we also lost the rotation in the hips, so like they can go out, or like not out, but like, can they go out? I'm sitting here forgetting what standard Rainbow High articulation is, but where you can like rotate the leg, I believe we are losing that as well. The wrist is the big one to me. That one definitely hurts, because I just think it makes them so much easier to pose and like mess around with, and I just think it gives dolls a lot more personality when they have wrist articulation. I'm also kind of an articulation snob though, so maybe that's just me, maybe most people won't feel that way, but it is kind of interesting, because this is something that is happening across a few different MGA brands. We are seeing the latest series of the Tweens from LOL also not have wrist articulation, so that's interesting. I am curious to see how OMG will be doing articulation in the future, whether they will also be losing that wrist articulation, or whether for some reason it's just going to be Rainbow High and the Tweens. It does stink. It is a loss to me. There's no real other way to say that. Like, that one to me, I think, is just a negative. I'm glad that we're not losing even more articulation, kind of a la most Playline Barbies, where like they're all in that super stiff arm pose with not even elbow articulation. I'm glad that for Rainbow High, it seems like that's going to strictly be a budget doll thing, which again is completely understandable. But yeah, it does suck to have these dolls that like had this articulation have it taken away. I think that's a little harder. I think for me, it's something where if a new brand comes out and they don't have the articulation, I will be disappointed, but it's like, okay, well, that's just how this brand is. Knowing that Rainbow High had the capability to have the wrist articulation, it makes it hurt. a little bit more, but what can you do? The next overarching thing is, you will have noticed when I was talking about the core dolls, I just completely ignored the pets and the slime gimmick because frankly I just don't want to acknowledge that it's happening. I think, like, the slime, I get that it's going to appeal towards kids, and Rainbow High is very clearly trying to redirect and definitely make kids like their main focus. And even like, I think the age recommendation on the boxes is a couple years younger now. So they're definitely aiming at a younger demographic. I understand that slime is something that they are probably going to love, but I'm not obsessed. I actually do enjoy slime. I've said this in another video before, but like, I'm not expecting this to be quality. Maybe when I do my review on Amaya, that will change and I'll be like, wow, this slime is like surprisingly good quality. But I'm not really expecting it to be something that's like a nice quality slime that really helps you just unwind and kind of forget your anxiety for a second. I'm expecting it to be sticky and glitter filled and a bit of a mess. So probably something that I will not like. I'm sure it's something that parents are not going to love, cleaning out of like hair and carpets and stuff like that. It's not for me, but again, like I get why it's there. So I'm complaining, but like, I'm just complaining for the sake of it. Like, I understand it. The pets, I think, are hideous, and I'm so sorry to anyone who likes them. It is going back to the roots of Rainbow High, because Rainbow High actually came out of the Poopsie Slime surprise. Like, that kind of evolved into Rainbow High, and now we're circling back here to like the Poopsie pets. And I just think they're ugly. I don't know what any of them are, almost. I think one of them is a unicorn. I don't know what 90% of these animals are supposed to be because they all look the same. I think they're all very ugly. Again, I'm sorry if you like them. You are absolutely allowed to. Like, don't let me yuck your yum. But for me, hideous, and I hate it. And they're included. It's not something like I can escape from with at least the core dolls. That's just kind of the reality of the situation. But I don't love it. I guess that brings us nicely into talking in general about the fact that Rainbow High is aiming at a younger audience. I do understand that like 90% of toys and dolls in general are aimed at kids, like that is the primary audience, but it is just like a little sad to me to see the route that they're going. I honestly don't mind the fact that they're more like colorful and like sparkly and all of that stuff. That doesn't really bother me, and I think I understand that as like the kid focus, because like, you know, sometimes kids like bright colors. It does seem like Shadow High is just not going to be a thing, at least as of time of making this video. We haven't heard anything about Shadow High, and it kind of feels like they are not going to be a part of this rebrand, which is sad to see because I definitely think Shadow High was a really interesting concept, and it was fun to get to see like darker colors and on occasion more interesting fashions. But to be fair, I don't think that Shadow High necessarily, even within the few series that it did have, live up to the original concept of being like the edgier school. I think that was done away with pretty quickly. So I feel like the writing was like kind of on the wall with Shadow High, but it is still a bit of a disappointment to see that those are going to be going away in favor of the like more colorful and bright stuff that kids presumably are enjoying more. I don't have kids. I'm not close to any kids. Like, none of my friends that I'm super close with have children. So like, that's not something I'm super aware of, is what kids are into. But yeah, I think it's understandable in the sense that it makes sense to take your toys and design them more for children if that is where the market is going, and like, I understand it. It is just a little bit disappointing to see it going so young, I guess I would say, because I do feel like Rainbow High and MJ with that brand is aiming much more at a younger audience, and I kind of just wish like we could have left it at a slightly older audience so that it could be slightly more like detailed clothing and slightly less colorful clothing. Obviously, like, something happened within the brand for that to like not be working enough for them to want to keep going in that direction. But just as a collector, it is a little bit rough. I do think that as adult collectors, sometimes we are kind of at the whim of the children's market in terms of what is popular, and this definitely feels like that. So there's nothing I can do about it. It's where we're at, and I definitely want to still try to enjoy Rainbow High even with the more colorful stuff. Like I said, like bringing Amaya in here again, I think she's cute. Like, yes, she's extremely colorful. No, this is not what I would like typically expect from a Rainbow High doll, but I don't think that she's terrible. So I am disappointed, but I'm trying to keep my head up, trying to be a little bit excited about this. Also, hot take really quick. If you guys saw the last video that I posted, because I figured out what order I was posting these It was a video with me and my husband, and I mentioned in that video that he had a hot take about the Rainbow High reboot that he immediately forgot. But whatever. I was trying to show him, because we were in a Walmart, I was trying to show him the difference between the older style dolls and the newer style dolls, and just the only one that they had, like that particular Walmart had on the shelves, was a junior high Kaya Hart. So I held that up next to this one and was like, see how different they are? Because you can tell like there's glitter on her face and tinsel in her hair, and like the vibe is just definitely different. And he looked at them both and went, I like this one more. So I guess Tony's down for the new rebrand. But that's just kind of like a funny aside. Jokes aside though, time to talk about something pretty serious, and that is the diversity issue when it comes to the Rainbow High reboot. So diversity is something that has been a question in Rainbow High's history literally since its inception, like since the first lineup of the Wave 1 of dolls came out. I remember one of the earliest videos that I've ever made on this channel was me talking about the fact that the original cast was not very diverse at all. And obviously Rainbow High did make a lot of strides to change that, and I thought that was a great thing. Like, it was a great thing, you know? Like, it's always good to be representative of more different types of people who have different features. And I think Rainbow High did a lot in terms of increasing their diversity. You know, we got dolls of different skin tones, like a wide variety of skin tones. We had an albino doll. We had a doll with vitiligo. We had dolls from different cultures. Like, they were doing a lot with it. Even just recently, right before the reboot, they introduced dolls with different body types. And while I don't think that those body types were, like, super different in the way that maybe would have done more for the diversity, they were different, which was cool to see. And they've literally erased all of that, which is just not super to see. And it's extremely frustrating to me, if I'm being honest. If you look at the like core lineup of dolls, Sunny is the darkest doll, which was the same case when the like original wave released, which is great, like that there is at least that. But there are so many people who have skin that is much darker than Sunny's, and Rainbow High has made dolls of characters that are much darker than Sunny, and like that was good representation to have, and it was nice to see people of like a wide variety of skin tones be represented. And Rainbow High has just completely backtracked on that. The doll with like the curliest hair, if you want to call it curliest hair, I think is Violet, who is like very clearly more like heat curlers, you know? Like, it's not naturally curly hair. So there's a distinct lack of hair texture diversity, which again is just kind of like, why you have all of these dolls, you could do something different with this, and it's disappointing to see. Literally every single one of the main dolls that has been like released, like the core slime dolls, has a blue-ish eye color. It's either flat out blue, or it's a blue-green, or a blue-purple. Which, like, not that there's anything wrong with people who have blue eyes, but brown eyes are the most common eye color, and especially amongst people who aren't white, most of them don't have blue eyes, and so it feels very intentional to have all of these characters. You're picking only, like, pale to medium-toned characters, realistically, to be in your main cast, and you're giving all of them a bluish eye color, and I just think it's weird. I think this is a good time to bring up two things. One, the fact that I said earlier, I think Sunny has the aesthetic that just matches with this new direction so much better. And I feel like, because they're very clearly open to changing the characters available in Rainbow High at this time, if they were going to do that, it would have been cool to see a lineup of dolls that they picked characters that maybe had styles that kind of went along with this reboot, with this new direction, and you could have thrown some diversity in there while you did that. Because, like, we got rid of Poppy, okay? I haven't talked about this at all, but I am upset that they got rid of Poppy because orange is my favorite color, and I feel badly about it. But even with that being said, if there was going to be an orange character, which there should be because it's Rainbow High, and Rainbow is not complete if you don't have orange, because of the lack of diversity, I feel like they should have gone with Michelle. No, like, I know I just said the whole thing about, like, picking characters that have styles that suit the reboot. No, I don't think Michelle's style, like, necessarily suits the reboot, but you could have at least had a character that actually has dark skin. You could have given her textured hair so that it wasn't just, like, a bunch of straight hair girly pops hanging out here, and you could have a full rainbow. I just feel like that would have been a better choice, or, like I said before, since they're willing to remove Poppy and still pushing this Amaya thing, they've still got a Bella, they're clearly willing to play with who the main cast is. They got rid of a main cast member with this reboot. So realistically, to me, there's no reason that this reboot couldn't have been done with more characters that either fit the aesthetic better, like Sunny does, or preferably actually and rather than and characters that represent more diversity. I'm kind of infuriated that this is like the way that they're handling it. Everything else in this video has been mostly personal preference, but this is like a really serious thing. And I think the example of Bella in junior high is a great example because, again, I don't necessarily think that Chanel-esque Bella would wear a onesie, but clearly they're just eschewing her actual style for the style of the reboot. So if you're willing to do that, why couldn't one of your main characters have been what was her name? Jewel. It took me way longer than I would like to admit that. Why couldn't one of your main characters have been Jewel, who has vitiligo, so that like that would have been some representation? I know that Delilah is another yellow themed character, and maybe they wanted to like just go with one of every color, but like Delilah is albino, so that would have been great to see. Like I said earlier, we could have gotten Michelle, who could have been orange, or we could have gotten Mina, who could have been orange, and then we could have had, instead of Skylar, or in addition to Skylar, I'm not saying like, you know, get rid of Skylar, but I'm just saying, like, we could have had Coco be the blue doll. There were so many opportunities. Like, so many. Crystal could have been the purple doll, because clearly they're not doing anything good with Violet. You could have given Crystal a doll, especially because Crystal is like one of the very, very, very few dolls, one of like maybe 2 or 3 tops in Rainbow High that has had like natural curly hair. You could have had Crystal be the purple doll and like added so much more diversity to this lineup, and I just don't understand why this was done this way. I just think it's really rough, and maybe MJ just wanted to go with the original cast minus Poppy for some reason. But I feel like with all the strides that they had made with diversification when it comes to the Rainbow High canon, it's an extreme shame to see them backtrack like this. And that is definitely my biggest problem with the Rainbow High reboot, is that it feels like no care or consideration was put into this reboot, into making sure that, you know, by extension, like, because I'm talking about this, adult collectors, but especially young kids could have dolls that look closer to themselves. I think that it's just really rough to see the diversity going downhill with Rainbow High. I'm hoping that in the future they will change it again, but it's kind of just one of those things where the brand has quite literally devolved, not only in terms of, from like my adult collector perspective, like the style and the quality, but in terms of the diversity that I think should be a baseline with dolls that are coming out now. And it's kind of rough. So that's a fun note to end it on, is but I can't not talk about it, you know? So I guess my overall thoughts on the Rainbow High rebrand is that there is a little bit of good in there. I definitely don't think that this is like the worst thing that could ever happen. I think that they could still produce some nice dolls. I personally am less interested, but like, that's a personal thing. Some people are going to be more interested, and that's totally fine. But there are some core things like the diversity issue that are just like flat out, to me, not okay coming from Rainbow High at this point in time. And it's rough to see. I'm cautiously curious to see what they do in the future, because like I would love to see them add that diversity back in and maybe make some dolls that surprise us with the quality of the clothing and everything. But yeah, I guess that's where we're leaving it today. Got a little bit more negative than I like kind of was expecting it to, but that's just how I am feeling.
Quick little interlude from editing me, because somehow I didn't manage to say enough in this video. I just really wanted to point out that I think that my overall feelings on the reboot, aside from the diversity issue, because that's absolutely an issue no matter how you look at it, I think that this is only really seeming so bad because it is a reboot of Rainbow High, and obviously collectors and potentially kids alike have come to expect a certain thing from Rainbow High, and this is not that. I think that if this was a completely new brand, like if Rainbow High just didn't produce anything for 6 months to a year and then decided to rebrand, or if this was literally a completely different brand with like different characters and stuff, the designs and the fashion choices and the articulation and everything wouldn't really feel as bad as it does now. I just think that because this was done by rebranding, I'm sure for like licensing purposes and already having the characters, it made a lot more sense for MGA to do it this way. But as a consumer, I think this overall launch would be significantly less disappointing if it were a brand new brand instead of this being how Rainbow High continues on. I hope that makes sense. I'm finally actually done, so wrap it up now.
As I said before, I would definitely like to know how you guys are feeling about this reboot and all the things that I talked about today. I know a lot of people are feeling really, really rough about this, and I obviously understand, so if you need to vent in the comments, that is fine too. But regardless of your feelings on this, I hope you were able to enjoy me complaining about something for X amount of time. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.